So the women's 800. Now, obviously, there are going to be heats in the 800 for both the men and the women, but we've got the full list here of athletes who will be competing in that event. Athletes with the Olympic qualifying time already, George, which is 1:59.50, include Gemma Reekie, Laura Muir, Alex Bell, Keely Hodgkinson, Adele Tracy. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women already with the time.
Yeah, there's a
Only
sixth. I think
3
Lindsay Sharp does
selected.
as well, but
Say that
she's.
again.
I think Lindsay Sharp does as well, but obviously she's pregnant, so won't be competing.
Okay, so out of those 3, George, how do you, or out of those 5, I should say, do you see the 3 coming from those 5? Who's your pick for this one?
Yeah, I think so. I think Ellie Baker and probably Walcott Nolan are both the two other kind of closest to that 1:59.5. I think Ellie Baker's ran sub 2, hasn't she? But not sub 1:59.5. And I think Walcott Nolan's run like 2:01. But yeah, I think obviously Reekie and Muir might be doing the 1500 as well, so that might hinder their that sort of ability a little bit just through they'll race 4 times in 3 days, I think. But yeah, I think probably my prediction would be Reekie Bell second, just because Muir might be racing more, and then Laura Muir third.
Okay, I actually went for Muir, Reekie, and Hodgkinson instead of Bell. Perhaps Hodgkinson's gone off the boil a little bit since that early season form, so it'll be interesting to see how she races.
Yeah,
Kat, how do you see this one unfold?
Yeah, similar kind of predictions. I think Reekie, probably Muir and Hodgkinson I would go for as well. But I think it'll be interesting with Ellie Baker and Walcott Nolan actually needing the standard still, or especially Ellie Baker being so close to it so many times. She is going to have to run for that standard, which means there's going to be less of a tactical race and more of a all out 800. So it'll be interesting to see. That should suit Muir more, and
yeah,
um, maybe not quite so much the kickers. So it will be, I think, that element of all of these races is going to be really interesting to see the fact that they're going to have to be fast races for some people. So there won't be a whole pack just sitting trying to win the race. There will be people going for times as well. So yeah, should keep it really interesting.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Alex Bell been very consistent. She's ran sub 2 basically over and over again this season, and I think she races championships generally pretty well. She was the best performer out of the GP team in 2019, but obviously we've seen Hodgkinson races championships very well as well, winning Euro indoors. Yeah, it's the first time really we've had, the same for all the middle distance races, like actually exciting trials with depth. It used to be sort of every year, yeah, it's going to be Charlie Rice, Chris O'Hare, they're the only two with the standard. Whereas now it could be, yeah, it could be anyone. Obviously, there's still the discretionary third place, but I think more often than not, it will be the person that finishes third gets that place. At least I think it should be that way, but we'll have to see.
We've also got Philippa Millage in the 800, who's a vet 40. Still love to see that every year at the British Champs. Still competing at that level gives me hope.
Absolutely. And George, just going back to your point we mentioned this morning, there's going to, across the 8s and the 15 particularly, in both the men and the women, there are going to be a good number of athletes who have the Olympic standard who won't be going to the Olympics from a GB perspective, which just highlights the depth that we currently have in those middle distance events in both men and women.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't remember it like this before, having this much depth, and there's still maybe a little bit of depth lacking in the men's 5K and the steeplechases, but particularly in these middle distance races, I mean, the heats themselves, even the names you haven't mentioned, like Shalane Roskin Clark, like these are people that might not get the team, but they could easily knock Adele Tracy, Keely Hodgkinson out in the heats because it's going to be tough qualifications. There's a lot of athletes, and there'll be a couple of heats or maybe 3 heats of 10 and top 2 or 3 go through. It's not going to be easy to qualify. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting, I think.